Hey, I hope you're enjoying Virtually Maker Faire. I want to take this moment to give a quick thanks to our Make members who are helping make this event possible. You can help support future shows like this by signing up for a membership at make.co. All right, now back to the event. Hey, this is Mike from Make. I want to give another quick thanks to everybody for watching Virtually Maker Faire. I hope you're enjoying the show. And a quick reminder, if you don't have a subscription to Make Magazine yet, be sure to grab one at makezine.com. It's right there at the top of the page. All sorts of great information, inspiration, projects to make and do, and get yourself involved in that next Maker Faire that's coming up. All right, enjoy the show.
Virtually Maker Faire 2020.
Where did it go here?
Are we on? Hello! Hello! Hi everyone! Welcome to my studio tour and works in progress. So this is part of Maker Faire, Virtually Maker Faire 2020. I'm wearing my 2018 Maker Faire badge because you gotta have a badge for Maker Faire. So yeah, thank you for joining me. If you don't know me, I'm Sophy Wong. I'm a designer and a maker. I make a lot of different kinds of projects. I do a lot of wearable technology projects, and I do a lot of costumes. So if you saw the thumbnail for this presentation, you probably saw my spacesuit. So I'm going to show you some projects that are also costuming projects and wearable projects, and then we'll do a little tour of the studio. And this studio is a space that I share with my husband, who's also a designer and a maker. And so we put this space together. Really, we work together to build this space, and we share it equally. And Kim Pamel, my husband, is actually manning the camera today for me. Thank you, Kim.
Hello.
So he is going to be reading your messages in the live chat. So if you have any questions as we go through things, type them in there, and he'll read them out to me. Maybe we'll do questions at the end. So I have a lot to show you, so let's just jump right in. First, we're going to start over here. So this is a costume that I'm working on right now. This is Geron from the 1985 film Red Sonja. So it's pretty obscure, barbarian action movie from the 80s. And Geron is the villain of the piece. And she has this incredible costume that I have loved since I was a kid. So if you don't know who she is and what she looks like, here's a picture. That's her. So she's just dripping with gold. It's a black and gold look. And so this is what I've made. And this is made out of EVA foam and Warbla. So the base of this chest piece is EVA foam, which is the same material I used on my spacesuit. And then I covered it in Warbla, so it's hard. And then I added this gold pattern with metal studs that I had to spray paint all the same color gold. And these little rosettes here are resin cast medallions that I had to make. I actually found a button that was the right shape. Oh,
we're just gonna get the sound fixed up here.
Sound
just
check.
A second.
Check. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay, good. Thank you for letting us know. Yeah, so these medallions were all resin cast. I think they're about 30 of them on the whole piece so far. There might be more that I'm adding to other pieces of the costume. I have to zoom in real close to see what she's actually wearing. This is the crown that she wears. And this is her mask. And her mask I've made out of silicone. And it's really flexible. And it molds to my face perfectly because I sculpted it on a cement casting of my face that I made actually using 3D modeling and 3D printing. So that is Geron. Next steps on Geron, she also has this big glowing green orb, and I'm building that. This is a small like mock-up of what it's gonna look like, but it's gonna be this big. It's gonna be that big. And inside it is gonna be a custom PCB with lighting. It should be all glowing green. Let me see if I can turn it on. Here it is. So this is a custom PCB that I built using my Bantam CNC mill, which you'll see a little bit later. And this whole dodecahedron is actually a dodecahedron. That is going to go inside this gigantic orb. And then all of these little spikes that I made are going to go on the outside, and it'll look like this. So Geron is really many, many projects all in one, and that's the kind of project I like to build. I like to bite off more than I can chew. So speaking of biting off more than I can chew, we're going to walk over here to another project.
Let us know if you can hear okay.
Yeah, just let us know if you can hear us okay, and if not, we'll do something about it. So this is my 3D printed dress project, and this is a project that I started last year, and I really just needed to take a little break from it, and I'm just about ready to jump back in, but you'll see why. It is so much 3D printing. So this is all 3D printed on fabric, and all of these are actually smaller pieces connected together because obviously my 3D printer bed, which you also see, is only 12 inches by 12 inches. So I have to print this out in small pieces and then connect them together using my 3D pen. And if we come over here, I'll show you what the panels actually look like. So the panels look like this when they come out of my printer. And I'm printing on the fabric. So I print one layer of my model, and then I pause the printer, then I add the fabric in, and I resume the print. And when it's done, because I've done this sort of cellular segmented design, it's flexible. It retains that flexibility in the fabric. So then I connect these panels together, and you can see that here is a really long piece. I know this looks like a piece of salmon, but it's not. It's a 3D print. And here's the section where I've connected it together. So this is one piece, and this is another piece. And together I can get these really long, very fluid pieces. So I did a lot of testing and samples to get to that design that I'm currently working on. And I just fell in love with this process, so I'll probably be doing a lot more of this in the future.
We have a question about what kind of filament are you using for these?
I'm using PLA for this, and specifically my dress is Filamentum Wizard's Voodoo PLA, so it's really beautiful. It's this iridescent purple, and it's just gorgeous. Actually, the back, I'm printing on a glass mirror. It's very, very flat, and it gives me this really shiny surface on the back. It's like little sequins. They're just gorgeous. So yes, PLA, and specifically Filamentum Wizard's Voodoo. So those are the projects, and if we have more questions, we can circle back later, but I really want to give you a walkthrough of the space. So let's go back over here to this main table. So this main table is where I do most of my building, and it's basically just a gigantic table from IKEA. And I extended the legs out so that it can be standing height for me. And that is really helpful when I'm doing big projects, when I'm cutting fabric, any kind of sewing project. I prefer to do that at a standing height table. And if I want to sit down, I have like a bar stool height chair. And that is just really functional for me. When I switched to a standing height table, it was much easier for me to work on my projects. I also have it arranged kind of in the middle of the room so I can walk all the way around it, and that's really useful for me when I'm filming. I do filming at this table, and I do a lot of photography of my projects at this table, and that allows me to keep my photography equipment on the far side, and I can do an overhead rig really easily and quickly and not have my photography equipment in my way when I'm actually trying to build stuff. Another thing I want to show you are these carts. So these carts are from IKEA, and I have so many of these carts. I have like 5 of them in my house, in my life. And I have specific uses for each cart. So this cart is general tools, general like first order tools. So I have glue gun and glue sticks, pliers, scissors, screwdrivers, pens, pencils, my iFixit set. I mean, this thing's amazing. Measuring tapes, all kinds of tape, all kinds of adhesives. And these are really the things that I will use on pretty much any project. So having them all in this one cart means I can wheel it around to wherever I'm working. It's really, really convenient. And then this is my soldering cart. So it's a similar situation, but all this stuff is exactly what I need for soldering. And Kim actually set this up so that everything in here that takes power is all plugged into one surge protector down there. And I can just plug this cart in with one plug and everything is hooked up and ready to go. So that's great because then I can wheel this over here if I want to solder at my main table, if I want to film any soldering, or I can push it this way and I can solder at my desk. If Kim wants to solder, he can roll it over here and solder at his desk. So this was really a game changer when we put all of the soldering stuff in this rolling cart. So that brings me to this area, which is kind of like the office area. So we have 2 desks in here. Kim has his desk on that side, and I have my desk on this side. You can kind of see that we're kind of different in the way we decorate our desks. I have a lot more stuff at my desk, but this is really the space that I use to do a lot of research. I find a lot of inspiration on the web right here. I do a lot of sketching here, and I do writing and editing when I'm working on tutorials and videos, and if I need to do any kind of photography editing, I do it all here. And it was really important for me to have a distinction in space between the area where I make things with my hands and the area where I work on the computer. And I think in the past I've tried to do tinkering and making in the same place that I'm doing Googling, and it just doesn't work for me because my desk gets so filled up with project stuff that I end up just working on my lap. So I just realized I needed a gigantic table for actually building stuff. That being said, having a laptop is key for what I do. I could not do my work with a desktop machine, with only a desktop machine, because I need to bring my laptop everywhere. I bring it over to that table, I bring it to my machines when I need to work on them. So my computer is super mobile and I need that in my workflow. I try to just keep swatches, pens, paper, all the things that I need to do like idea generation and quick iteration at my desk, and I try not to keep anything too tempting to play with my hands, like any of my project stuff. I really try to keep away so I can really focus at my desk. I have so many of these cards. This is a new cart idea that I have. So this would be like current projects and things that I want to work on, because I found that they were ending up in big piles, and I figured, well, if I just put that pile on wheels, then I could just move it out of the way. So these are some face shields that I've been printing for, I'm actually going to give these to my friend Joel, the 3D printing nerd. He's distributing these to dentists in the Washington area. And then this is actually Bill Duran's Ray Blaster mold, and I'm so lucky he's letting me borrow this so I can make my own Ray Blaster. So I need to get some resin so I can fill these up and make my own Ray Blaster. Then we have storage on this back wall. It's massive. I mean, I get a little overwhelmed when I look at all of these bins, but thank God I have a label maker. So this is one of my favorite things that is in this studio. I label everything, and that's the only way I can find stuff, because we do so many different kinds of making. We have so many different kinds of materials. It's just a sea of plastic bins. So this is generally the electronics portion. This is generally not electronics. I have paint, sculpting stuff, sanding stuff, some sewing stuff at the bottom. And yeah, it's not crucial that your labels all match. It's just crucial that you can read them. That's really key. Oh, and then this I'm pretty proud of. This is our camera drawer system thingy. And I basically just took all of our camera equipment and organized it into these drawers. And then I like the look of it, like being so clean on the front, so I labeled them up on the top of the shelves instead of in the front. But yeah, it's awesome to be able to walk over and find the thing that you need when you need it. Speaking of cameras, we love vintage cameras, so we have a little display of all these vintage cameras. And I love Polaroids. These are some of the things that inspire me, and so I like to keep them around me when I'm working. If you are familiar with our Selfie Bot project, this was kind of an inspiration for that. You can see the colors are pretty much all Selfie Bot came from that calculator.
Can you hold this for a sec?
Yeah.
I think we've run out of juice on our stabilizer here.
Oh, okay.
So just a second for some
technical difficulties.
Technical difficulty moment here.
We're gonna go handheld. We're gonna go handheld from now on.
Extractify. Thank you.
All right.
Oops.
So that is where most of our storage is, but wait, there's more. So we're gonna go in here now. So we call this the Fab Lab because this is where our 3D printer is. This is the CR10S that I've been using for all of our 3D printing. That whole dress came off of this little machine. I say little, it's a large 3D printer, but yeah, that was really the goal of that project, was to see if I could make an entire garment on a 12-inch by 12-inch basic 3D printer. So it's coming along, it's gonna get done. I keep all of our 3D printing supplies here. Filament is here and elsewhere because who could store all of their filament on one shelf? Then we put this pegboard up behind the 3D printer just recently, and I'm really excited to try to get our filament spool to be mounted back here. I think that would be a nice way to keep this space a little more neat and keep that filament spool out of this tangle of mess. And then I'm putting our benchies up. Why not? I just like to see them in little boats sailing across the wall. And then this is another wall of storage. So this is my fabric storage. I find that fabric is so specific to a project. It's really not worth keeping fabric unless you know what you're gonna make out of it. And if I let my fabric collecting habit get out of control, it is it can get out of hand really fast. Yeah, so this is kind of Fab Lab / raw materials. Really, when you are making things at the rate that we make things, you just run out of space so fast. So every flat surface that can store anything does end up storing something. And then these are my Maker Faire posters and just little bits of inspiration here and there. This is our MakerBot. This was our first 3D printer, and astonishingly, it still works. And we're going to try to keep that going as long as we can. It's really better for ABS, which I've not been printing in much lately. I'm doing mostly PLA. But when I do need ABS, it's nice to have it. So now we're going to come back out and see. I think that's pretty much it for in here, but there's one other place I want to show you because I have a few more goodies and toys. So follow me this way. So this area is located in our garage. It's outside of our main house. So this is the area where we do things that are going to cause more dust, more fumes, and noise. We generally like to do that in this little workshop space. And Kim actually built this workshop table for us. It's been great. And we have a few more machines here. So this is one of my favorite machines. This is the Glowforge Basic laser cutter. And it is so awesome. So we actually learned how to use a different laser cutter before we bought this one. So when we got this one, we were really ready to go because we'd put some time in at a makerspace to get up to speed on laser cutting. And now cutting on this machine is so easy. And we have a lot of material, and we save all of our scraps because this machine lets us cut on tiny pieces, like little pieces like this. You can still cut on because this machine has a camera in it, so you can place your design really precisely, and that means you can use your material. You can use very small pieces of material, so it's very efficient. So I love that. And then we have it venting directly outside, which is important when you've got a laser cutter. Then we also have these machines. So this is my vacuum form machine, which I've used a little bit, but not much. I have some future projects coming up that I think I'm going to be using it more on, but it's really great to have. And then this machine is the Bantam desktop PCB mill, and it's fantastic. So this has been a learning curve for me to get up to speed on CNC and PCB milling, and I'm so fortunate to be a remote resident for Bantam Tools. So they've lent me this machine, and they're giving me a lot of support and helping me learn how to use it, and it's been amazing. So that dodecahedron that I'm building for Geron, I would not be able to build that if I didn't have this machine. And taking that project on has encouraged me, forced me to learn how to design PCBs, which I didn't know before, learn how to use the mill, which I didn't know anything about CNC before. So that's really exciting, and I'll be using this machine a lot going forward. And yeah. We've got some other things too, drill press, bandsaw, love the bandsaw, miter saw. Basically, yeah, we are so lucky, and I honestly like walk through my studio every day and I'm like, God, I have so much making to do. I need to put these machines to use. And I make as much as I can, and it's really been helping me during this whole crazy, uncertain time in the world to just stay home and make projects, and it's been great. So let me know if you have any questions. I think we've got a few minutes, and yeah, while you think of questions, I just want to say, like, thank you so much for coming to my virtual tour and for supporting me and for following my projects. If you've been following my projects, it's been really awesome to hear from you. So thanks.
Someone had a question about other mill and bantam. Are they the same thing?
I think originally this machine was known as the Other Mill, and I believe there was some kind of merger or so. I think it might. I'm not fully up to speed on how the transition went, but it is now the Bantam PCB mill. So it is, as far as I know, an evolution of that same machine.
Someone had a question about what video editing tools do you use?
Oh, I use Adobe Premiere, and yeah, I use Adobe Premiere.
We have a question about how did you make the cast of your face and the 3D printing and the process for your appliance?
Ooh, do we have time? Let's run back
Yeah.
inside and I'll show you. Come back in, come back in. Wait there. So this is...
We've got a couple of people just saying hello.
Hello!
We got Core Geek, and we've
Core
got
Geek.
Andy Calloway.
Andy Calloway!
Pat says hi.
Hi, Pat! Oh my gosh, thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Mario says hello.
Hello! Hi, Mario! So this is a 3D print of my face. You can see I printed this on the MakerBot. So that is the smaller printer, and so it has this seam in the middle because I had to print it in 2 halves. And it also, you can see it's a pretty bumpy and not a very detailed model of my face, and that's because I got this model of my face by using a Kinect to scan. If you're not familiar with a Kinect, it's a Microsoft product that came out with their Xbox a while ago. They don't make it anymore, but it's a lot of people use it to do hacker projects, and you can hack it to scan yourself in 3D. So that's what I did. And this was several years ago, so I think you could do something similar now with just your smartphone. They make apps that allow you to do that without having
Joel
to
just did
track
something
down
like
a
that, right?
Kinect. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Joel, there's a video by 3D Printing Nerd about a face scanning app, so you might want to check that out. But anyway, I used the Kinect, and then I 3D printed this, and then I made a mold of this here out of silicone and plaster, and then I cast that in cement. It was so many steps. Cast that in cement, which is here. So this is what I got out of that mold. And then I used clay, monster clay, to sculpt the mask. You can kind of see the shape of it still on there. And carve all that pattern in, and then this is the mold that I got off of that sculpt. So then I brushed this mold with silicone, and that's how I got these floopy masks. This was my first attempt. And I tried to do gold as the first layer and then black behind it. And I just really didn't care for the look of that. I didn't like that I wasn't able to get the gold very even, and I didn't like the color of this gold. So this is gold pigment that I mixed into the first layer of silicone, and I just didn't care for the color of that. So I did a lot of trial and error with other pigments until I found one that I liked. And so this is the one that I like the best. And it's also got some silicone alcohol-based makeup on the front of it, and that's just giving it a little bit of a surface sheen. So I might try to figure out how to go back in and add a little darkness into the deep areas. I think that'll give it a little more depth, but you can noodle on a project forever, right? Nothing's ever finished. That's what I say.
got just 2 minutes left. We have one more question.
Oh, great.
Nice sewing machine and serger. Any recommendations on tips for using them from Caitlin's dad?
Caitlin's dad, hello! Yes, so I also, God, I'm so spoiled. My sewing machine and my serger I got from my mom. So I inherited my sewing machines and my maker machine addiction from my mom. And I've only ever sewn on Bernina because my mom is also spoiled and she always has Bernina machines. But really I've also sewn on a Singer, to be honest. I have a really cheap Singer sewing machine that is sort of my travel sewing machine.
I use that for the masks.
And Kim uses the Singer as well. It's really easy to use. It was about $100 and it honestly is capable of producing beautiful garments just as much as a Bernina. But I think a tip for using the sewing machine, I would say, number one, don't ever throw away your sewing machine manual because you will always need to refer back to it to figure out how to do the other kinds of stitches it can do, how to fix it when it